consider one of our exchange programs. And, any update on when session 3 might begin?
We're back on schedule now.
Okay.
So we can take it away with session 3.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. So welcome back. This is session 3, making it happen. Last session of the study abroad fair today. My name is Yumi Takahashi, and I am one of the study abroad specialists in the study abroad office. So in this session, we will first go over scholarship and financial aid, study abroad application process, and securing academic credits and foreign academic systems. After those sections, we will bring in a panel of study abroad alumni, and they will share their study abroad experiences, tips, and suggestions with you. We will have a Q&A time at the end, but if you have questions during the presentation, please use the chat function to submit your questions. You can submit your questions to a specific presenter or to everyone. All right, so let's get started here. For the first 8 minutes or so, I will go over a brief overview of budgeting for your study abroad program and the scholarship opportunities and the financial aid. Funding your study abroad program is a combination of good financial planning, scholarships, and financial aid. Planning early and start saving for your study abroad program will certainly help you with the cost of study abroad. Also, you should start looking for scholarship opportunities that are available for you. You should apply for multiple scholarships, not just for one. And this is a common question that we receive, but financial aid is another funding source for your study abroad program. You could use your financial aid to support the program cost. You should start a conversation with your financial aid counselor and learn how the financial aid can help you with the cost. When you think about the cost of your study abroad program, it is important to look into multiple factors that impact the cost. The factors listed on this slide, such as number of credits, type of program, short or long-term program, room and board, and so on, all of those factors and other additional factors can affect the budget of your study abroad program. So now I'd like to show you our webpage for the budgeting and the scholarships. Just give us a minute. Okay, so this web page will provide you with detailed information about how to budget your study abroad program. It is on our study abroad website webpage and budgeting and the scholarships here. And I encourage you to take a look at these 2 links, financial planning guide and the financial aid, to learn more about those. But today I'd like to go into the link for scholarships here. Okay. So this web page is a good place to start your research about available scholarships for study abroad programs. And as you can see here, there are different types of scholarships. Just one moment. Different types of scholarships, opportunities for you. And depending on the study abroad program you're applying for and also the eligibility criteria, scholarships that you can apply will vary. So do your research on scholarship opportunities and apply as many scholarships as you can. Now, among those types, now this page has a huge list of scholarships here, but among those types, I like to highlight the scholarships that we offer through our office, WMU Study Abroad. Okay. And as you can see here, each scholarship has specific program lengths, type, credit hour, program content requirements. And some of those scholarships are need-based only. Others are both need and merit-based. So for example, this second one here, Carnegie Institute for Global Education Study Abroad Scholarship Travel. This is the scholarship for WMU faculty-led short-term courses with a minimum of 3 credits. And this is a need-based scholarship. So if you want to learn more about this scholarship, you can go into the page and find out the award amount, eligibility requirements, deadlines, and also the link for application right here. So you can start application from here. Back to the previous page. So you can do the same thing for all the other ones here. And down below here is a list of other scholarships at WMU and also outside of WMU. Another scholarship opportunities that I'd like to mention today is that there are prestigious national scholarships such as Boren Award and the Fulbright scholarship opportunities. And we offer services to assist students compete for those prestigious scholarships. So all of these are hyperlinked, so you can go in and read more about the scholarship, but also you will find a contact person for that scholarship. So if you're interested, please go ahead and reach out to that person to get more information. And work closely with us to find out which scholarships you should apply. And there are so many scholarships out there for you. Start your financial planning early and start saving. Now, next, Sarah will go over study abroad application process.
Thanks, Yumi. We'll give Ryan a chance to get everything pulled back up. All right, so if you haven't met me before, my name is Sarah Reed. I'm one of the study abroad specialists in the office. I'm also the person who maintains our website, so I get to talk about the fun application process, which happens through that. And we'll go ahead and get started. So just to give you guys a visual, we're going to get started by going to our actual website, which is where you would start an application and explore study abroad options. That's the web address if anybody wants to follow along, but I believe Ryan's going to pull that up, and I'll give you a quick little demo of showing you how to start an application if you already have a program in mind. And the web address is broncosabroad.wmich.edu. So on this page, you can explore the WMU programs. The external programs here are with our third-party providers, so you can feel free to look at those as well. But for demonstration purposes today, we're going to look at WMU programs. I'm going to do an advanced search. You can do a more exploratory approach if you don't know what program you want yet. But let's say I know I want to go to Australia. I can select that. There's a little bit of a delay. There it goes. Okay. You can put it in whatever search criteria you want, just to narrow it down. These are all and, so it would have to have all of those things if you get really specific. So let's say I knew about a program, I knew it was in Australia, I couldn't remember the name of it, because Australian programs sometimes have unique, fun names. But when I see it, I'll remember it. Oh, right, Wollongong. Okay, I want to do Wollongong. So clicking the name of it takes you to the program's brochure. I can read all about the costs. I can read about the academics, the location. And let's say I've already done that and I'm like, okay, now I want to apply for this program. The way you do that is by clicking the Apply Now button on the brochure page. So I'm not going to dive into that because I don't want to start an application during the live stream. But we're going to go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint, and I'm going to talk to you guys about the different statuses that you'll go through, just so you can know what to expect as you go through the application process. Ryan's taking back control. And if you have questions while this is going up, feel free to throw them in chat. If I see it, I'll try to answer it over here on the mic. If I don't see it, then it will get answered by one of my colleagues in the chat. So after you start your application, you log in using your GoWMU credentials. The same thing. The accounts are linked. You would get back to it by clicking the house icon and then clicking the My Home option. That'll take you to any scholarship applications and study abroad applications you may have in our system. So these are the statuses a student can expect to go through in our system. So today we're going to talk about pending, accepted, committed, and enrolled. So what does pending even mean? It means basically that you've hit the apply button and now you have an application in the system for a program. There's no fee to start an application and there's no fee to submit the application. But this pro tip at this point, if you've already got your program picked out and you're working on this application, you can start and you should apply for scholarships at this point in the application process. Because you already have your program in mind, you'll know what scholarships you qualify for. So during the pending status, you're going to be filling out a couple questionnaires in our application. Sometimes we ask for an unofficial transcript upload, so be like a PDF. Some programs require a 500-word essay. Don't go over 500, please. Sometimes, well, usually there's digital signature documents and that sort of thing. 1 to 2 letters of recommendation for some programs. These are digital. It isn't like a physical letter in an envelope. You don't deal with that. It's all submitted through the portal. Recommenders can be like professors or previous bosses, somebody who knows you well enough in an academic context. For non-WMU programs, it's a little bit different. You are also doing our application is shorter in this phase, but you will also be doing the host provider's application at the same time. So you would do everything for us except upload your acceptance letter from them until you get that from them, and then you'll be considered, your pending application will be able to be submitted, so it'll be considered complete. So most providers do have a fee to apply, so if you're doing like a non-WMU program, a lot of them do have an application fee, so just a heads up. So if we review your application and we deem it acceptable, we change you to accepted. This is when we look at it and everything looks good, you meet all the requirements. We give you 7 days to decide if you're going to commit or not. If you are planning on committing, this is when you need to start looking into getting a passport. So what happens during the accepted status, WMU and non-WMU programs, the option to commit pops up. It's like a button. If you commit, it means you're responsible for the commitment fee. More application requirements will pop up, usually things related to the program. And then, but what you should do before committing, you should look at the budget, you should meet with financial aid, you should check with your academic advisor and make all cost considerations other than the program fee, how much spending money are you going to need, that sort of thing. So once you click commit, you're committed, you're serious about doing the program, you're making it official. If you withdraw, you don't get your commitment fee back. So your status will update automatically from accepted to committed once you click it. And then you build the commitment fee to your WMU account, and that represents a portion of the program fee. So what you're working on in this status, you already applied for the program. If the program has a host provider, but it's a WMU program, then you're doing a host provider's application. Your study board advisor will walk you through when you do each of these things. Once the host has accepted your application, and you commit with them too, then you can work on travel logistics in this phase. Remember, you need permission to go from WMU, permission to get in from the host program. If it's a faculty-led program, don't book your travel arrangements until you get the all clear from the faculty director. You won't have to complete a second application with faculty-directed programs typically because it's already just a WMU program. For non-WMU programs, you've already done the host provider's application, so you should be good. At this point, you're just making arrangements for like travel, and you're buying your luggage and figuring out what to pack and telling them what your housing preferences are. So enrolled is the last status, and it basically means that you're registered in credits at WMU. And there's two different kinds of registrations depending on the kind of program that you're on. With faculty-led programs, typically you're registered in the actual course. It's already a WMU course, it has a CRN, you'll see it in the catalog. They don't have to come back and convert to anything. It's just a straight WMU credit. The other classes are placeholder credits, and these are when you're taking classes taught by faculty from other schools. Basically, you're going to be getting a transcript, and we put you in placeholder credits so that you still qualify for financial aid, your status as a student is upheld, and then when we get your transcript, we swap out those credits for the actual classes you took, and you're not charged tuition for the placeholder credits. They're just there to maintain your status. So what you work on in the status, maybe kind of overlaps with this a little bit, so maybe a little bit of both, but any remaining travel logistics, any incomplete application requirements, and then, you know, you'll still be in the status when you're on the program, you'll be on this program when you get, or in this status when you are on your way back. For non-WMU, any remaining requirements, post-programs requirements, especially for non-WMU, at this point, you gotta make sure you're doing your course approval form if you haven't already, or any adjustments to that. And if this sounds like a lot, it is, but remember, this is stretched out over a long period of time, so it's little bits at a time. It's not too bad. And so this is just a quick review. Pending, filling out, submitting the application, accepted, submitted the application, it's reviewed, and you're offered a spot on the program, hopefully. Committed means you've accepted that spot and you're putting the commitment fee down, and then enrolled means you're enrolled in either the course or the placeholder credits, and this makes sure that you get the credit for your experience. So to help you along the way, we have our wonderful, and I guess I'm saying wonderful about myself, study abroad specialist. We help you throughout the entire process, any supporting documents you need, answering all of your questions, all of your parents' questions, explaining budgets and where to get funding, directing you to those scholarship resources. And then a couple pro tips just before we wrap up on my part. If you're nervous about your writing skills, the Writing Center has a lot of really great resources. Check out the immigration requirements on your host country's embassy website. That's where you're going to find that, especially now. And then our office is a passport acceptance facility. So if you have any questions or need help applying for a passport, you can reach out to us. All right, so now I'm going to hand it over to my good colleague, Anastasia Camel, and she's going to talk to you guys about securing academic credits in foreign academic systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Just to remind everybody, my name is Anastasia Camel, and I'm a study abroad specialist. The next topic that we have is securing academic credits and we'll talk a little bit about foreign academic systems. As Sarah mentioned earlier, please don't let this event to intimidate you with all this information. Keep in mind that you will be walked through all the steps by your study abroad specialist, and it's common to forget certain details if you attended the event. So don't stress about this. We will sit down individually with all of you, and we will walk through everything that needs to be done. So this part of the session is dedicated to the academic processes that related to study abroad, such as selecting courses, securing approvals, and assessments. Apologies. Study abroad programs are designed to offer academic credits so students can successfully progress towards their graduation. As Sarah mentioned earlier, all study abroad students are registered by our office for the term they participate in your academic experience abroad. A number of credit hours may vary based on what the program offers and your choice. But it is important and mandatory to maintain minimum full-time enrollment, whether this is for summer, it's 3 credit hours, or for the semester, 12 credit hours. Some programs offer a particular course with the designated credits. For example, we talked about the faculty-led programs. You would know in advance with short-term faculty-led programs what registration and what credits you're going to get and how it's going to be used in your curriculum. So basically, that would be the courses that are treated as any other courses at Western. most of our partner programs offers a wide selection of courses, as I mentioned in our second session. And that is the variety that is similar to the one we have at Western. So you can basically design your own individual personal curriculum for the experience abroad. Ideally, obviously, you want all the courses that you take abroad to be applied toward your WMU degree. So we have a process in place that's called the course pre-approval process. And that process allows students to know in advance how each and every course that they look to take at the foreign university is going to be used towards their graduation. So first of all, it's important to start navigating their foreign curriculum early, because there may be some peculiarities, and study abroad specialists can help you to understand how curriculum at the foreign university works, because sometimes courses that you expect to be at a certain department because you're looking at how Western curriculum is structured could be under completely different department, and you can still take them, but you're looking at the wrong place. So but the course pre-approval process has few constituents, and we work collaboratively together. So that includes study abroad specialists, student, and academic advisors. In order to approve your courses, you have to print out description of the courses you'd like to take, and go to see or communicate with your academic advisor. And academic advisor will take a look at the description. Sometimes syllabus is required, and see how it matches your degree at Western and graduation requirement. Sometimes it's a direct match towards major minor. There is a direct equivalent. Sometimes it's a stretch, but they can still work with you. And sometimes the course is sent towards gen ed, certain area, or elective. So it's very important for you to start looking into this earlier. The next slide will show you the form that we will use in this process. It's a study abroad course pre-approval form. So as you can see, the first part of it is for study abroad specialists to fill in. Basically, it's going to be your name, the semester you're going to, the country, very particular information. And then you see a few columns and designate fill in the name of the course that you're going to take abroad. And then the column that would list WMU equivalent that is determined by your academic advisor. You also see, generally, you want to take 3 to 4 courses if we're talking about the semester program. Obviously, in summer, sometimes if you go to the partner university, you could take 1 or 2. But the logistics is the same. So you will list the courses in the first column. And then this first column, you see if you're going for a semester, you see that you have more space than you need. This is because the space is designed for group priority number 2. So your first 3-4 courses would be their dream courses. This is the ones that you really, really want to take. And then you're looking into 3-4 that maybe would be a backup. So that's why you see the more space there. You see the columns for number of credit hours and how it's going to be used, and then you see that academic advisor is signing off on it. And then at the bottom there is a space for your signature. So basically, it's kind of like a document that ensures that there are no surprises for you. And obviously, when you arrive, sometimes you could change your mind and you can swap courses, and that is okay. You can either add these courses to the study abroad form and electronically communicate between your academic advisor and study abroad specialist, or you can do it via the email. We don't mind accommodating this, and we will just add their authorized email to this study abroad course pre-approval form. As I mentioned, that you will have 2 weeks at the beginning of your semester at the foreign university. That would be a drop-add period, the same as we have at Western. And during this period, you will have to decide not just the courses you want to take, but also whether you want them for graded or credit no credit experience. This is basically the same way we process as at Western. So if, for example, a student decides that the course is going very well and originally was requested for credit no credit, but now in the middle of the semester, it's definitely going to be A, we cannot change it back, and vice versa. So if a student would want to have a letter grade, but the course maybe has a big challenge and you're not sure, we cannot change it back. We cannot change it in the middle of the semester to process it as credit and credit. So this is something to look to keep an eye on, and we will remind you. So basically, just start your research earlier. Go to the next slide, please. Okay, so when we look into the evaluating your credits, we receive the transcript from foreign university upon completion of your study, and that transcript lists the courses. We then pull out course pre-approval form and start comparing what courses are matching, and we evaluate these courses towards your degree in compliance with what academic advisor authorized you to use as an equivalent. Most of our partners would send us their scale, the grading scale. Obviously, the academic systems are different, so they would offer a grading scale. If the grading scale is not sent to us, then we would go by WES. And that is the snapshot of how the website page for WES looks like. You can find this information on our Study Abroad work page. You can do this research even before you go to the foreign country. You can search by country, and if you click on this view link, then it will have drop-down menu, and it will will give you the list of countries to choose from. And then when you go to your country, it will give you the scale. It will also give you very useful links that will help you do research about the academic structure that you're going to have in this foreign country. So very recommended. But again, if you are confused or you're not quite sure, don't be shy to ask the specialist. We would actually bring it up because we want to make sure you understand how to function and what you're going to get for your grades that you receive in a foreign country. Okay, that leads us to necessity to discuss. This is evaluation. I think we got the slides swapped there a little bit, but this is basically reiterating that after completion, you're going to get we're going to get the transcript and going back to WES. But also, please look at Study Abroad academic section. We have a whole section dedicated, and that section will talk about drop aid period and what to do when you need to approve the courses, and what to do if, for example, it happens very, very seldom, but you know, it happens. So sometimes students may fail the class abroad and they can actually retake it. So if there is an equivalent assigned for this course on the Study Abroad course pre-approval form, there is a way for students to retake a class at Western. So it can be controlled. And if you use this link, you will find all the information you need. Thank you. I mentioned that there will be a new and different academic system when you're studying abroad. And there are various academic systems abroad. So it's in your best interest to start talking about this with your specialist really early, so you can navigate the course catalogs abroad and course offerings. And you really need to do it so you can manage your expectations, because it will be a new academic environment. And so you need to make sure you position yourself for success at the very beginning. Just to give you a glimpse into research items that you need to do, you should make sure that you get a complete understanding of course expectations, such as grade composition, the grade distribution. And each country, as I mentioned before, has a different credit count and grading system. Some countries measure it in points. Some countries call courses papers, for example, like in New Zealand. So you really need to learn to navigate. We will be happy to help you with this and help you to navigate as well. To give you an example, some universities in Europe, such as German universities, UK universities, some Irish schools, use European credit system called ECTS, and that translates the credits to United States as 2-to-1. So those are little details that would be important for you, and it will take care of some of the anxiety, of course, before departure, because you would know how to navigate at the very beginning. This is the next slide is also another glimpse. So this is another comparison what you would have if you're going to different countries. You saw in UK. And yeah, thank you so much for coming back. Yeah, that's just a snapshot. So you saw the links to their resources that you can find on our website, all of them. And I also recommend that you take a look at the Student Guide to Study Abroad. This is a free resource that you can download and your parents can download. And this is fantastic. It's basically ABC and everything you can think of to prepare for study abroad. And I think that would be it. And we will take questions later, but you can also type it in the chat section. I'm giving the floor to my colleague Ryan Rounds.
Thank you, Anastasia. Again, I'm Ryan Rounds, and I feel like I get the best part of this virtual study abroad. I get to host the student panel, so you guys can ask our study abroad alumni all of the good questions and juicy details about their own experience. If you do have questions for our study abroad alumni panel, do throw them in the chat session. I'm going to start out by asking them a couple questions. If I don't have any questions from the audience, I'm going to ask them more questions that maybe you didn't think about. So here we go. I'm going to introduce our panel. And panelists, when it's your time to speak, please unmute yourself so that you can answer the question. Then mute yourself when you're done speaking for the next person, just to eliminate all of the noise. If I could get my mouse to work. Okay. So first up, we have Decoriana Cooper. She is a junior in digital media and journalism. She studied abroad at the University of Hertfordshire in the UK. And she went for the whole academic year of 2019-2020. Next up, we have Lauren Smith. She's a senior in interpersonal communication. She went on the communication and ethnography in the Dominican Republic program during spring break 2020. Ayana Wilson, senior in public relations, also went on the communication and ethnography in the DR for spring break this year. Nick Lenning, he is a senior in biomedical sciences. Nick went on the program with the Japan Center for Michigan Universities in summer 2019, and again in spring 2020. And then Caitlin Flahive, I hope I'm not butchering your last name, is a junior in integrated supply management. She went to Swinburne University of Technology, which is in Australia, this past spring semester. So welcome, students, and we're really happy to have you here. So I'm going to start off by asking you, what made you guys decide to study abroad, and why did you choose the location and program that you did? So Decoriana, since I see you on my screen first, I'm going to have you answer that question first.
When I found out that that our financial aid pays for it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna definitely go study abroad. I chose my location because I've always wanted to be in London because of One Direction. I know that's silly, but that's true. I didn't want to be in the heart of London because I felt like it would be too busy and I wouldn't get any work done. So I chose Hertfordshire, which is about, I want to say, like a 20-minute train ride out of London. And so, yeah.
Excellent. Lauren, same question. Why'd you decide to study abroad, and why'd you choose that location or program?
So the DR trip was a faculty-led study abroad trip over spring break, and I have been a very involved student leader on campus, so I knew that something more long-term would never really work with my schedule because I'm so involved in so many RSOs, but a spring break trip would be perfect. And I really like the professor, Dr. Orby is amazing, and there's always been so many great recommendations and just like, I guess, like reviews, or like students who have been on the trip in the past have just like raved about it, and they were not exaggerating at all. It was an amazing trip. And shout out Ayana, we had a great time. So yeah, it was just really awesome, and I loved the professor and what we were learning.
All right, great. Ayana, since you were on the same program, how about you?
I will definitely have to second what Lauren just said. I am also very involved on campus, so it's kind of hard to be like, well, can I study abroad? Like, is it possible? Because my schedule is always busy. And then also, I've known friends and peers to go on the same trip that I did, and so they were all like, "Oh, if you have the opportunity, jump at it. If you have the opportunity, jump at it. Like, don't miss it. Like, no matter what you think of, oh, you're not going to afford it, this, that, and other, just jump at it." And then Dr. Orby was telling me the same thing, like, Ayana, like, jump at it, like, don't worry about it, just apply. And also, Dr. Orby is an amazing professor, and so it was like another opportunity to take a class with him. So yeah.
All right, thank you. And remember, today's phrase of the day is going to be jump at it. All right, study abroad, we're going to jump at it. Nick, why did you decide to study abroad and why did you choose Japan?
Sure. So I really chose to study abroad because I wanted to see something, outside of America and Canada. And I chose Japan because, like, I don't know, just because I liked it. I guess because in high school I had watched anime a little bit. And I don't really do that so much anymore. But I had experienced, I guess, 1% of the pop culture, and I was like, well, this is kind of cool. So what is the other 99%? What's the language? What's the culture like over there? And that's kind of what really drew me in. So I chose JCMU particularly for the language component because they have a very good language program, very strong. They get you through, like a semester worth of actually like 2 semesters worth. So that'd be a year here at Western in, 1 semester. So it's really good if you want to do language. And that's it for me.
All right, go to where your interests lead you. It's another reason to study abroad. And then lastly, Caitlin, why did you choose your location?
Sure.
Why did you study abroad?
Well, coming into college, I always knew that I wanted to study abroad, so it was kind of a given. I was going to do it eventually sometime in my time here at Western. So when I was picking the program, I chose Australia because I was doing the full semester. So it was really a good opportunity to go to a different country and be able to really get immersed in the culture. And it's such a big place that there's so many things to do. So the semester, I did have to come home early but I still got a little bit over a but I loved everything about it, and I couldn't recommend studying abroad more. It was a great experience.
Yeah, COVID. I want to ask you guys, and again, audience, share your questions in the chat pane so we can get those to our alumni. What did your family and friends think when you told them you wanted to study abroad? Caitlin, I'll start with you.
Everybody was kind of everybody was excited for me. I would say my family was a little bit nervous about me going so far away. But it was really in the time there, it was really important for me to still keep up connections with all my friends at home. So I was still able to talk to them and just checking in with my family so they knew everything was okay. When I went to Australia, I got a SIM card for my phone. So that's how I kept up the communication. I'm not sure what other people did. But I was a full semester there, so had to get a different SIM card. So, but everybody was really excited for me.
How about you, DeCoriana? What did your friends and family think about you going abroad?
They were also excited, they were nervous a little bit, what if this happens? They kept saying I was going to meet the Queen of England. I'm like, yeah, I'll just say hey to her, stopping by for tea or something. Everyone was just super excited. They wanted to come visit, of course, not a lot of people did come visit because it was a whole different continent. But everyone was just supportive. And of course, I got another SIM card as well. You kept up the communication, FaceTime, email, things like that. And it was just a great time.
Lauren and Ayana, you can go first. Sorry.
I think because it was such a short trip, it was only, I think, 9 days in total, including the travel days. My family was pretty cool, we'll see you then. It was right at the beginning of like the COVID situation. We got back 2 days before Western shut down entirely and went to like online classes. So we kind of like dodged a bullet just barely. But my family was really excited. They were like, hey, you've never been anywhere besides Michigan, so you may as well go see some stuff. I didn't know Spanish very well. I knew like a couple words, enough to be polite, but not enough to hold a conversation for sure. But I think we had a good time, and my family was excited for me to like experience more of the world because I come from a really rural area.
Great. And Ayana?
For me, okay, so my situation was a little interesting. I didn't tell my family until like the last minute. So it was kind of like, hey, just so you know, I'm going to study abroad. So of course it was like a couple of my family members were like kind of nervous and everything. But since like Lauren said, it was only a 9-day trip, they were like, okay, we just need to know that you're okay. So how can we keep in contact with you? I said, I'm going to be fine. But I didn't tell them until the last minute. So it was kind of interesting to see their reaction. It was kind of a split reaction of, oh, I'm so excited, you're going to have fun. And the other half was, wait, what? And nervous. So yeah.
Great. And then Nick, how about you?
It's definitely a mixed bag. It really depends on who you talk to. Because with my parents, they're like, "Oh, okay," kind of this baseline, like it's just what you want to do. This is what you want to do, and so they were supportive in that respect. Of course, you have the grandparents who are kind of like a little cautious, and they're like, not too sure about this. Are you sure it's safe? It's Japan. You're going a long way away. And then for friends, they were supportive, and a couple were envious because they're like, "How dare you go to Japan without me?" So you had that there. But other than that, it was really supportive overall. No one was like trying to, stop me from doing this.
Well, I'm glad that you all had support, either early or late support. How did you all financially plan for your study abroad experience? So Nick, I'll start with you.
Well, as far as for paying for a trip as a whole, I did like a combination of scholarships and just loans because that's just what I had to do. And I also had like some from like financial aid that was able to do that. As far as budgeting went, I feel like that's really going to be program dependent and where you go. It's gonna change. Since I went for like 3 months, I cannot remember how much money I bring, all together. But trying to figure out like what I might spend weekly on groceries, I think it was like maybe $40-50 is what I was trying to budget for, and then just kind of going from there and planning out for however long I was going to be there.
Yeah. Decoriana, how about you?
With budgeting, can you please repeat this question?
Yeah, how did you financially plan for your study abroad experience? Like, how did you budget,
Gotcha.
scholarships, that kind of stuff?
Well, I talked a lot with Anastasia. She was my specialist, but and she really gave me a lot of tips. But like study abroad, they really have a lot of scholarships for students that are studying abroad because like it's like they WMU wants you to study abroad. I feel like because it's like they want you to get out there and experience different cultures and meet new people. Like there's more to the world than just Michigan and Kalamazoo, and of course financial aid, loans. Some like I don't want to say fundraising, but like family also supported me. And that's just honestly it. Saving up like summer jobs, things like that. That's what I did.
Ayana, Lauren, and Caitlin, did you guys do anything different than what was already mentioned by your peers?
I'll just say that I think a lot of people, when they think about studying abroad, they think it's going to be a lot more expensive than it really ends up being. For me, my program, I was able to pay the same tuition that I paid at Western. So all of my scholarships at Western transferred over also applied for extra scholarships for studying abroad. So really the only added expense was the flights there and back, because you're paying for accommodation here, you're paying for groceries, so really it's not that bad. And then in terms of money there, my main form of money was having a credit card that didn't have an international fee. So I did bring a little bit of cash, but I used majority of my payments, I did credit card.
For me, I know the School of Communication has a specific scholarship for when like you're a School of Communication student going on a School of Communication like study abroad trip. So we, Ayana, I don't know if are you a communication student? Well, I got the communication scholarship to go, and then I think I just had like the credits that it counted for just like fell in the flat rate tuition rate. So I was paying pretty much the same amount of money. My professor kind of told us like, hey, this is what people have paid in or have brought money in the past, like $200 will probably get you enough things to like remember the trip, food if you want it, fun things to do, things like that. So yeah.
The same for me, for what Lauren said, the School of Communication Scholarship, as well. And then Dr. Orby said, you can bring like $200. That'll be enough. But I didn't even spend all of my money. So yeah.
So someone from the audience asked a question along that vein, and I think you just answered part of it. But how much pocket or extra money did you guys have, depending on your location?
I brought about $200. I know I really wanted to get a tattoo when I went to the DR because it was my birthday and like it was just like that's what I wanted to do. And it ended up being like so much cheaper than I thought, and it healed the best out of any of them. So like, but $200 worked really well for me for that 9-day trip. I think the peso is a little bit less than $1. It's like 80 something cents ish. So it transferred differently, but we had to do like money transfer situations of like changing your American money to be pesos and like back and forth. So that was interesting. Yeah, but $200 was great for the 9-day trip, and there was some left over too.
Yes, I would have to say the same. 200 for the 9-day trip. $200 was more than enough. I ended up having to switch my money back coming back, but also it was just at first like doing the conversions was like okay, this is a little confusing. But after a couple days and just consistently be like, okay, this is this. I got kind of used to it, but $200 for the 9-day trip was more than enough for me, and I don't think anyone else on our trip spent more than $200 either.
What about for those of you who went on a semester-long trip? How much extra money did you need to have for a month?
It's hard. I mean, for me, when I was going there, I really it was hard to budget. So that's why I recommend the credit card if you're going on a longer trip. I went there with a lot of cash and I came home with the majority of it because I barely spent cash there. So for the longer trips, I would recommend a credit card, or some people will even open a bank account to whatever country they're going. But for me, the credit card worked best.
I would say, I mean, depending on what you want to do, I brought about, I want to say, I know this is going to sound like a lot, but I brought 1,000 only because the currency difference in the UK was completely different than the US. And like, of course, being there for a year, I wanted to take different trips and this and that. And so, yeah, I needed that extra money. And plus, it's like you have to pay for like food, and you cannot forget like that the difference in their money. It's not a lot, but it is at the same time. It starts to add up, and I still have to pay. Like you have to think about like a phone bill and fee, like books and this and that. It's a lot. Like staying somewhere, like practically living there is just it's a lot.
Yeah, you definitely have to take in the exchange rate into consideration. UK, the dollar is very weak to the pound, so you had to be really, really cognizant of what you were spending. I don't know, Nick, did you have anything to add?
Nothing really. Just kind of second what I believe Caitlin said about bringing a bunch of money. So I think about like 500 USD for the like three months that I was there. Planning to spend it on whether that's trains, groceries, or whatever it may be, because Japan is more cash based, so they don't have as many places that will automatically accept credit cards. So they're expecting to spend more, but luckily I had a credit card that didn't have any international like fee on it, so I just used that way more than I thought I would, and brought back a lot of cash. So I would say definitely, if you have like the ability to get a credit card that doesn't have any foreign fees on it, that might be like the best way to go if you're sure you can use the card in the country you want to go to.
Right. That's something that you really do need to consider and research as well, whether or not the country you're going to is more cash based or cards, and then what kind of fees you might acquire if you're using your American card abroad. Great insight, guys. Here's a quick question for Nick. What made you pick JMCU rather than the other university programs? JCMU.
Right.
Programs.
That's a good question. I think because I'd come across them like earlier years, like back in high school when I initially looked into different study abroad programs. So I just was something that I knew and stuck with it. Because they provided housing on campus, because they have like their campus, it's just one building basically. So you got the dorms in one, and then it just attaches and you walk across the classrooms in the other. So I think that I could have possibly been better off if I went with a university. Like if you're thinking you want like full immersion, you may be better off going to a university program, because here we were all combined with other students from Michigan, right? So, after Japanese class, you weren't really conversing with people from Japan, you were conversing with other Americans. So you were speaking English, most of the day. And, there's some downside to that, definitely. And that's something to consider if you're debating between programs. I guess I don't know if I really answered the question, but
Did he answer the question for you, Sarah? I think you did, but yes, she said
okay.
yes, that was perfect. Someone else asked, well, I'm going to kind of paraphrase their question, but what were the high and the low points of your experiences abroad? So, Ayana, I'll start with you. What was the high and the low point?
That's kind of a hard question for me. There were a lot of high points on the trip for me. One of the highlights in that I will always remember is getting the opportunity to like meet and interact with the alumni. Um, there, Dr. Orby had said to us that day, because we had class and the alumni came in, he said, "This is the biggest class of alumni that has come in to welcome you all since he has been doing the trip." So the alumni really welcomed us, and just everyone in general really welcomed us, and they kind of like took us under their wing a little bit, as well as just being able to learn the things that we were learning in the DR, because it was almost like we weren't learning. It was just like a simple conversation almost. I would say my definite low point, the thing that I can think of off the top of my head is when we left. Because it was like, wow, okay, I really don't want to leave. And I was like, I remember like Lauren said earlier, we got back 2 days before West shut down, and we were all in our group chat. It was like, wow, like we really just came back from the DR, and it's like, and life just completely changed within 2 days. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that was a shock. DeCoriana, high point and low point of your experience abroad.
I'm gonna start with my high point. My high point was just being able to be with other people from different cultures, and I learned a lot. You know, people really go by their continent, not really their country there, and it was just really exciting to know that. Like they kept like saying, it was just really cool, just meeting new people and learning their culture. My low point was learning their culture, and I got I it was the second half of the semester. I got very frustrated. It was just many things, and I remember I was in the market and I was trying to find the certain cheese that they didn't have, and I just remember I just like got so frustrated. I just almost was like crying because it was just like, oh my gosh, you know, like. And I'm not sure if they talked about that yet, but like they talked about the highs and the lows of like being abroad, and I was definitely experiencing that low that they were speaking about, because it was just like
The
so much
culture
going
shock.
on. Yeah, the culture shock. I just really missed being home, and it was just a lot. Like people smoking cigarettes whenever they wanted to, wherever. It was a lot for me, and they didn't have that cheese, and I was just like, this is it. This is the last straw for me. It was a lot, you know, and you are gonna miss being who you are, but you can get through it. And like at the end of the trip, you're gonna be like, wow, I just, like Ayana said, I just did that. You know, it's amazing.
Um, Nick, how about you?
Well, let me think here. High points. Let's go with the food. I really like Asian Pacific food. So being, in the place where you can get it fresh and at a much better price than the United States, that was always a high point whenever we could go out and experience like a local restaurant, or even go to like a kaiten sushi, which was, conveyor belt sushi, and you could get like two pieces for like 100 yen, which is $1. Like you can't find that in the United States. So that was always wonderful to be able to do that. Low points, because JSMU was a very intensive program as far, in regards to language. A lot of like the low points revolved around like homework and struggling with the language itself, and being like, okay, I haven't got to the point that I wanted to, or I haven't been able to memorize this kanji that I've looked at for the, 100th time, and whatever it may be, and just questioning myself, like, why am I here? Um, is it worth, my time, because I'm struggling with this? So those were really the low points. They were more, academically based for me.
Yeah. Lauren and Caitlin, high and low points.
For me, one of my favorite memories from studying abroad was probably the overnight trip I took on the Great Ocean Road. It was with other study abroad students that were studying at Swinburne, so it was really a great opportunity to meet other students on the program that were in the same situation as I was. It was really cool. We got to stay in a Airbnb or hostel, and then we took a big bus and went up the Great Ocean Road and came back. So we were able to stop at we stopped at a park and were able to see koalas like just chilling in the trees. So that was one of my favorites. Low points, I would have to say, was coming home. Like at the end, nobody wanted to go home. It was like very upsetting that we all had to leave. So, I mean, that just shows like what a great experience it was that nobody wanted to leave.
I think my biggest low point was because it was a spring break trip. Like, while it was like a different kind of like, it wasn't exactly like a vacation, even though we were in like a sunny summer like place and we went to the beach and things. Like, it still was. We were do it. We had to do journal entries every day. We had to do different like assignments every day. We still had to do like the work part. So for me, it didn't feel as much of a break as I wish I needed. But silver lining about COVID, like I got a break, but the high point was definitely that even though we were there for 9 days, we packed so much into our 9 days. We did several historical tours of the Capitol in Santo Domingo. We went to the Maravillas Caves and like saw like some really cool nature stuff. We got to ride horses. We went to Baibe and like just sat in the sun on the beach and just like it was so happy. And we went to Punta Cana and saw like the ecological reserve. And then the last day we went to Santiago, where our TA, his family lived. And so his family actually got to like come eat with us. His grandma made us the best food ever. The entire trip, I was like, that was my big like step outside of my comfort zone moment because I'm kind of a picky eater. I was like, okay, I need to try new food. But that last day, if I could eat as Martine's grandma's food every day, I would. It was so delicious. And we got to see all of the the service type stuff that his family does. We got to visit impoverished children and kind of give them a day of like happiness and fun. And we got to make those contributions to the community and really see like the difference that we made. And got to see the difference that we made like throughout the year as well, just because some of our like fees and things that we paid for the program like go towards making that just a little bit better for them. So that was really cool.
Yeah, great. I'm going to ask you guys one more question, and we need to be quick because we're at the end of the hour, and I know Dr. Penyuk is going to close us out. So what is one tip or advice you would give for a prospective student who wants to study abroad? Lauren, you can go first.
So on our trip, part of the assignment was to write thick descriptions or ethnographic accounts of everywhere we went. So basically just like writing in a journal, all of the things you saw, smelled, felt, all of the senses. And I am so thankful that I have this, because now, even though it's been months and months, I can look back on it and I can still like be like in the moment and feel like what it felt like to walk down the streets of Santo Domingo still. So I would write in a journal, and as much as it might suck to do it like every night and be like, wow, I really got to do this right now, I just want to go to sleep, you're gonna really appreciate it later. So I would write as much things down as you can so you can remember it later.
All right. So Coriana, what's your one piece of advice?
You don't need that many suitcases.
That's a really, really good one. Especially if you're on cobblestone streets, right? Ayana, what's your one piece of advice?
I would have to echo those as well as don't hold yourself back because you might only get the opportunity to do this once. So don't be afraid to just jump at it.
Caitlin, your piece of advice?
Yes, I agree with the suitcases. I remember walking through the airport with my big bags with 2 suitcases. That was terrible. But anyways, my biggest piece would just be like, put yourself out there. Like, don't be shy to meet new people there. Like, I'm still really good friends with the people that I met on my trip. We talk almost daily. I'm planning to go visit them when this COVID is over, but just meet as many people as you can, make as many connections, and it will be a great experience.
And last but not least, Nick, what's your advice to prospective students?
I'm not too sure. I can't really add anything that hasn't been said before. Like, they all summed it up pretty well. That's one key that's going to help you elevate your language game and be above what you be if you're learning here in the States. More than like need as you think you do.
All right, well, there you have it, folks. I want to thank all of our alumni for joining us today and sharing their experiences. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Penyak to close us out today.
Thank you, Ryan, for leading that little session. Ryan, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Oh, terrific. Thanks, Ryan. I don't frequently have the opportunity to extend my sincerest thanks to the many people on our team in the Henneke Institute who work so hard to promote study abroad and other issues of internationalization. So if you would just bear with me for a minute or two. First, I'd like to thank the students and the faculty who participated in today's event. We really appreciate your attendance during the sessions and on the panels. Study Abroad is led by Associate Provost Sagalo Mello, who keeps it all together and works very hard to give students the opportunities that you've heard today. He is assisted by the Institute's Executive Director, Laura Large, and she by Lindsay Rossiter, who do a million different favors for Study Abroad staff and students all of the time. We've been talking a lot today about, well, we have partners here, we have partners there, and we have an agreement with this university. Well, that takes a lot of work. And luckily, the Henneke Institute has an assistant manager for international partners, Alice Mulvern. So I want to thank Alice for all that she does to help us out. And then we say, well, you know, finances, we have to make a payment here and you have to do this and don't forget that. And well, we have a business team in the Henneke Institute, and Annette Cummings, Billy Blake, and Allison Sashi are forever emailing us back and forth and easing a lot of these transactions. So I thank them too. And we talked a lot today about scholarships, and we have we offer many. And we have someone too who works very closely with students on special scholarships, Borens and Fulbrights, and you know, these are very prestigious competitive scholarships. So I want to thank Michelle Metro Rowland, who works very closely with those students. Finally, I want to thank our faculty directors. We work with more than 40 faculty members on campus. About 2/3 of them offer programs every year, and the other third offer programs every year, and about another third often offer programs every other year. They work very, very hard, and we are really in their debt. I want to thank everyone now for attending today's virtual Study Abroad Fair. It's our first ever. It was kind of exciting, and the Higgy marketing team, whom I praised earlier in today's session, deserved a special shout out for helping us with the logistics. So thank you, Corey and Hunter, once again for all of your help. Well, this concludes the first virtual Study Abroad Fair. Thank you all very much for attending, and I hope you all have an excellent day. If you have any questions, please send us an email, and you can explore our programs on our website, Broncos Abroad. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.